Hello guys, welcome to yet another Banter Blitz with me. This time I'm going to play stronger than during recent episodes. Let's see how it goes actually. As usual, will be very helpful if you can tell me on chat if you can hear me, if you can see me well. On my end, everything is good so far. So let's get to playing. We have already several challengers. So let's see if there is somebody I've never ever played before. Yeah, here is one. Magic Tales 24. So I will accept this challenge first. And I'm playing with black pieces. So checking if you can see the board. Yes, you can. Okay, here we go. Magic Tales, it's your turn to move. And d4. So we are starting with something closed, and we're playing 3 minutes, which means I have to play faster. e3, bishop b4. And bishop e2, a bit passive, so I believe that developing that bishop on d3 is a bit better. So here, let's try to play against this weakened pawns c4 and c3. And bishop b2 is completely wrong, so bishop is very bad here. And this square. So it makes no sense to put the bishop on such a passive position. 100%. So let's fix this pawns with the c5. A bit later, I was planning to take on d4 to open the c file and attack c4 pawn, but white decided to sacrifice a pawn. That's an interesting decision, so let's just take it and see, because I don't see a clear compensation for it. Obviously, after c4, bishop b2 becomes a bit better. Why decided not even to play that? So it's a bit strange. Giovanni says that stream is fine. Thank you very much, my friend. Okay, now what to do? To play d6, d5. It's definitely a possibility. But then c4 opens a position. Maybe it's not a good idea for me to open the position. I should rather keep it closer. Well, not closer, but just closed. So maybe queen e7 instead. Or just d5, not being afraid of that c4. I don't know. Let's try queen e7 first. Not quite sure. Well, after this, I will definitely take that. Now play knight to e5, attacking f3. So white's pawn structure becomes very bad. And this is just a big blunder. I mean, 2 blunders in a row. So now there is a threat of a checkmate on h2. I think white is not going to survive this. Yeah, there is just a checkmate. All right, too many blunders, what to say. I'm not sure that d5 was a blunder, maybe it was intended, but it was definitely better to play c4 here, immediately opening this long diagonal. And I must admit, white should have sort of compensation for missing pawn. Probably not sufficient, but definitely there is something, because bishop is now active. There is a possibility to play queen to c3, then rook to d1, maybe just exerting some pressure on d6 pawn. Should be not that bad. Rook a to d1 is not a serious mistake, but after bishop e4, I would have played something like queen d2 maybe. Attacking d6, and after d5, let's say c4 again, trying to open up a position. Since white has pair of bishops, it's quite logical, I think. And yeah, you should search for a compensation because you're pawn down already. So it was logical. Then next moment, queen to c1, queen to e7, again c4 deserves serious attention. Bishop to d3 is a mistake. I could have captured the bishop, by the way, was also quite good for me. Then c4, then knight c5, knight d3 was very promising plan as well. But I just wanted to damage the pawn structure. Here, of course, bishop e2 was a must. Bishop c2 is just a mistake. Now I'm 2 pawns up. Should be just winning already, but after king h1 and queen e5, it's completely lost. All right. Anyway, thank you for this game. Thank you for this experience. Let's search for somebody else I've never played before. Just as usual, 3 games against guys of this kind, and then switch into normal order of challenges. So Mike Goering, never played before, 5 minutes, premium user, so why not to accept? Magic Tail says, thanks Andrey, sorry my English is not good. Well, mine is also not that great. So, I mean, it's not a problem for non-native speakers. I just, in my case, I just accept that. So I understand I will never, ever speak as good as natives. So I'm pretty fine with that. Giovanni says, Andrey, your English is very good. Can you imagine? I received so many, comments on my YouTube channel, for example, where people said something like, nice chess content, but your English is terrible. But that's fine. Something like that. So, I'm not even sure they are native speakers, but even if they are, it was quite depressing. Until that very moment when I decided not to give a fuck, alright? So, it's no longer a big deal for me. Okay, so Petrov defense. c4 is a nice possibility, but black is sort of prepared for that, so knight is already on e6. Normally, black is not playing knight to e6 so early, I guess. So maybe there is a possibility for me to play something simple like knight somewhere, then f4 and f5. Let's see. If we play knight d4, then knight takes, queen takes, it's not so good for white because queen is quite vulnerable there in the center. If we undermine the d5 with the c4, black has d4 move, which I also find a bit, annoying for white because this is already a passer on d4 and well protected. Black can also add c pawn to c5, will be not so nice. So what is the normal plan here? Just to play c3 with the idea of knight d4. But in that case, black will play c7, c5. Black will be prepared for that. Maybe just simple knight to e1 and then f4, f5, something like that. I'm not sure, but let's check. It's Blitz after all. So, I mean, it's usually a good reason to experiment, to play something that you usually don't play in tournament games to check how it works. Now if we play f5, there is knight to d4. So maybe we should just get back with the knight to f3 here. Yeah, I think it's logical, because the only idea behind knight e1 was to play f4. Now the knight should go back. And knight goes to c6, and again, I'm curious what to do here. To play c3 just to control d4 square, or maybe bishop e3. If bishop e3, then d4 with the tempo. Another idea could be knight to c3, and if d4, then knight to e4. But then there is some like queen d5, also not very pleasant. So maybe we should just start with c3, then try f5 move. I'm not very satisfied with this because it looks a bit passive. But there is a reason to play c3 because I think d4 is very important square. And after f6, I can get very strong pawn on e6. Wow. Maybe black is going to sacrifice the minor piece here, but it's highly unlikely. It's just highly unlikely. In any other case, I'm just playing e6 next move and I'm having an amazing pawn. And that bishop on c8 is terrible. Well, let's see. I find my position very promising here. Yeah, so sacrificing the minor piece. Makes sense because anything else was just terrible. So now we should play correctly. The question is, what is correct here in this position? I definitely want to save my knight, and I think I have no choice here but to go to e1. Not so pleasant, but I still believe my position should be okay. But black is going to have some play here for sure. So this pawn is going to occupy d4 square. I have to be very careful in this position. I should somehow simplify it as quick as possible. Maybe it will be a good idea for me to put the bishop on g4. If black gives me a chance. Black didn't give me that chance. Maybe I should take with the king. It looks very dubious. But my idea is just to play bishop g4 to diffuse the pressure a bit. Alright, it's just too strange. So it's better just to continue with the normal development. I have a feeling there is a problem with the development in white's camp. So a minor piece for 2 pawns, and these 2 pawns are rather active here in the center. So position is not clear. The only thing that makes me feel okay here is that if black plays d4, it weakens e4 pawn, so I can attack it with the knight to d2. And if then black plays something like e3, I will have a great possibility to blockade this guys using d3 square and e2 as well. So we're going to survive it, I think. If there is nothing right now, I guess my position is quite safe. I mean, nothing for black, and I don't see it, honestly. So, what can be wrong here? Okay, just exchanging pieces. That is nice for white, I believe. Because black is kind of searching for an attack here, and exchanging pieces is probably not the best practice to arrange an attack. So now let's have a look. I thought this move was not possible because of knight takes e4, but we have to check something like rook takes f1. This is probably not dangerous because I have king f1 and then knight goes to f2. That's fine for white. After knight e4, there's queen f4, attacking the knight and, the bishop. Knight goes to g3 in that case, then queen f2 check, king h1, and queen takes f1. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. So I cannot take an e4, I'm afraid. That's a bit annoying. That's a bit annoying. On the other hand, I have other moves like knight to c2. Looks just okay. So let's just put the knight on c2 then. Restoring the coordination, because knight on e1 was very bad piece, actually preventing my rook a1 from protecting the bishop on f1. Now the bishop is protected, so I believe knight takes c4 is the threat. Right? Right. We are also controlling e3. d4 is still not possible. After knight e5, I think already here I can take on e4. I don't see a problem with that. So the only reason I didn't take one move ago was queen to f4. Attacking both knight on e4 and my bishop on f1. Now I think it's just fine. So let's put the knight on g5. c4 is nothing because of knight d4. After this move, I can just take. Yeah, it should be over. It's just over. Because if cd4, then queen takes d4. So simply extra minor piece for nothing. All right, so there was an interesting moment here. So I was about to take on e4, but then I noticed that after queen f4, there is a nice checkmate. So my bishop is hitting a knight at the same time. So if I want to save both, I should play either knight g3 or knight d2. The only problem is that I'm losing the control over f2 here. And after queen f2 check, there's this annoying line with a checkmate. All right, that's why I didn't take on e4 and played knight c2 instead. And from black's perspective, well, I'm not sure that it was a good idea to play bishop to d6. Instead, it was much more interesting to try immediate d4. I was a bit afraid of that move. And after cd4, I wanted to play knight d2 attacking e4. But I think black has good resources to protect it. Like bishop f5 is possible. Bishop to d5 is also an interesting possibility. I think bishop f5 avoiding some like bishop c4. Then I wanted to try something like this. But it looks a bit, dangerous. So I still believe I'm fine here, but there may be some problems. So let's say e3, knight to f3, then queen to b6, intending to play d3, and if I blockade the pawn right now, there is capture, and then takes b2. Definitely with some counterplay. Again, maybe not sufficient, but it is at least something, right? And I think there was a serious mistake earlier, so here f6 was wrong. If you wanted to force me to take, maybe a good idea was just to play f5. By the way, I didn't notice that move during the game, although it's very typical, and when I play something like this with black pieces, I usually make that move. And now if I take, you get what you wanted to get with the help of f6, right? So it's just the same. But if I don't take, it's very hard for me to break through this position. You have very nice blockade. The only problem is your light squared bishop, but you still have a chance to play something like b6, bishop b7, or maybe even knight to c7 and then bishop to e6. Kind of overprotecting your pawns, especially this one on d5, which is very important. And I think this position is very solid, very distant. Maybe long-term, black is even better. So probably this plan with knight e1, f4 was too slow. I don't know. Let's go further. So one more game against somebody I've never ever played before. So let's search for somebody. So Latvian Gambit we have played already. Zibi from Poland. No games so far, except. And I'm playing with white pieces again. So e4. And 3 minutes. I have to be faster. Okay, Caro-Kann. Let's take that immediately. And put the bishop on d3. My favorite line nowadays. Very easy to play, especially in Blitz, because you don't... Oh, e6. Not even developing that bishop. That's strange. That is strange, honestly. All right. And not even occupying that diagonal. That's definitely strange. So white is having a very active setup already. Bishop d6. Okay, that is not very dangerous. Since it was basically our idea to exchange dark squared bishops. Because we have what? We have Carlsbad pawn structure reversed. And black's main plan here is the minority attack. But whenever black starts this attack, c5 square becomes very weak. And now we can do this stuff. I guess. Just bring the knight through b3 to c5. And this is gonna be very pleasant. Okay. So c3 is weak at first glance, but once my knight is on c5, c-file is closed. And it's no longer a weakness, but black's pawn on b5 is a real one, because I can attack it. Now it's fixed. Bishop d7. I think a4 deserves some attention just to prevent me from going to b3, because now I think I'm just strategically winning. After my knight lands on c5, it's over for black. That's why, by the way, oh, a5 is hanging. I can take it if I want. Do I want that pawn? Well, the question is, why not? Let's take it. Okay, c3 is hanging, but I still have this maneuver knight b3, knight c5. But first of all, I have to protect it. So what is the right way to do that? Well, probably just queen d2, right? Interesting thing, if black attacks my pawn the second time, like queen c7, I have not only rook to c1, I also have rook to e3 option, protecting the pawn indirectly, because if queen c3, or rook c3, there is bishop h7, winning the exchange. Yeah. But let's forget about it. Now, I think we should just go back to c5. That was the plan, to land on c5 and close the c-file. Bam, 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 bam. Very nice position. That's why I love to play it, especially in Blitz. You're just making very natural moves. What is needed is the basic understanding of Carlsbad pawn structures, because we have technically the same but reversed. And that's it. You have a line which is ready against Caro-Kann. Isn't it nice? Alright, what to do now? b5 is my target, so let's just attack it. First g3 preventing knight to f4, then queen e2 attacking that pawn on b5. Here we go. Alright, let's take it. Let's take that pawn. Rook a3 is very risky, isn't it? So let's just take that rook. I'm surprised there is no immediate checkmate on the back rank. So e8 square is covered. What is not protected? c8 square is not protected. f7 is not protected. So I think queen b7 should be very strong. Right? Yeah, should be. Oh, not even protecting it. Okay, let's take it. Now, everything should win here. I think queen takes f6 looks pretty straightforward. Check and takes on d6. Yeah. Extra minor piece, no compensation whatsoever. So your problem started after e6. It's not how this should be played, because if you play Caro-Kann, you should be willing to develop your light script bishop before you play e6, just to make it active. So consider playing bishop g4, something like knight to c6, knight to f, sorry, not knight to f3, but bishop to f4, and then bishop to g4. That's the thing. And then e6 after that. All right, that's the one of the lines. Because if you play e6, you're very passive. And now you know why exchanging dark square bishops here is probably not that great idea, at least mixed with the minority attack, because we can c5 and then it's just strategically over. All right, now getting back to normal order of challenges, and here is Johan Wilhelm Möbius with just an amazing rating, 2700s plus. Wow, 3+2. Let's accept. This is gonna be very interesting. And I'm playing with white. Let's go. I probably missed something because the last time we played, your rating was still, you know, quite good, but not so high. Looks like you have improved a lot, which is very cool. All right, so one of the main lines here. And knight takes and then bishop goes to f5. So let me remember, what is the most interesting move against bishop f5 approach? I think it still should be something like queen d2, intending to bring the knight to a5. In this pawn structure, it's quite annoying. At least it should be. So let's put the knight on a5 immediately. Can we do that? Bishop takes c2, knight takes b7. Queen goes to c7, something like rook to c1. Yeah, it should be possible. Giovanni says, Andre, I'm happy to see you not so tired today. Well, I'm pretending. In fact, I am. I just, you know, several minutes before the start of the show, I managed to find a source of motivation. I cannot even explain what that was, but I thought, wow, it's gonna be another Banter Blitz. I'm pretty happy to provide you all with another portion of some instructions, and this somehow made me feel happy. And hence, at least right now, I'm not looking so tired. But it's not true, I'm really tired. All right, queen c7, c2 is hanging. What to do? Just c4, I believe. This should be correct. It's everything according to the plan, because now we have pawn majority here on the queen side, and we want to play b4, c5 at some point. c4 is protected very well by the knight from a5. Whenever black plays b6, I have knight to c6, so that's the whole point behind placing the knight on a5, to prevent black from playing anything with the b pawn. And of course, to make it possible to play b4 at some point. Oh, b5. This is very risky, isn't it? This is very risky. So let's put the knight on c6 first. Moreover, it's a tempo move, attacking the bishop. Now let's just take on b5. Why not? It's just a pawn, right? Just a pawn. For, I don't know what. I don't see a clear compensation for it. So now we have two connected passers here, and we can just push them rather quickly, I believe. Okay, d5, c4, what is under attack? Bishop e4 is probably a threat, or sort of. Okay, I don't think it's a... No, it can be a real threat. So maybe it's a good idea for us just to start with the f3 move, then e4. We can then take and take on f6, I think. Okay, let's just play f3. I don't want this bishop to land on e4, attacking my d5, which is vulnerable. As for the rest, my plan is to play a4, a5, and just squeeze black here. Looks like a very good position, unless I'm missing something. By the way, after e4, we're not forced even to take. We can play f4, keeping position closed. The main idea is just to prevent bishop from attacking my pawn d5. That's it, basically. Okay, bishop goes back. Let's just play a4. I find it very strong. Now knight d5 may be a threat, so let's start with rook to c1 move, protecting the knight additionally. Now I think after a5, this knight simply doesn't have moves. Maybe I'm wrong, but a5, where the knight goes? Knight takes d5, okay, queen takes d5, so what? Extra material, then bishop e6, queen d3. Yeah, let's just attack it. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it feels like an absolutely winning position already. Yeah. Unless my opponent is a magician, it should be just lost for black. All right. So queen to d3. Extra minor piece. In addition to these great pawns. So let's go on with pushing them. Yeah, there's nothing to do. Just lost position. So what happened? I think b5 was too risky and probably just completely wrong. As I said before, the whole idea behind knight a5 was to prevent pawn from moving. So sometimes black actually moves that pawn, but not to b5, to b6, allowing the knight to c6. But at that moment, the bishop is already somewhere on f6 or maybe on f8. So I've seen some games where black plays some like rook e8, bishop f8, and only then some like b6. But to be completely honest, I don't really like this setup in general for black. I mean, with the bishop on the board. So I'm more like for taking on d5 with the bishop, playing the same position but with slightly different setup. I mean, slightly different set of pieces. Having the knight, because the position is very close for a long time, and I think knights are generally more valuable pieces here than bishops. So that's my general recommendation. All right. Anyways, let's go further. The next is Onam, surprisingly, because normally the challenge from this guy comes closer to the end of the show. Here it's at the very beginning. Oh, there is a sad news from Miktal about Kramnik student, namely his father. I'm very sorry. Very sorry to hear that. Onam, it's your turn. Come on. Are you there? Yeah, Kramnik students should know that he has a lot of friends here on Chess24, including me, and I think we're all wishing him the best in such a terrible situation and praying for the best. Okay, Onam, come on. Are you going to play? Seems like it's better to abort for now and accept the challenge from Cobra. Cobra is definitely here waiting for the game. Let's go. And Sicilian. I expected sort of Caro-Kann, but okay. Sicilian is also nice. And this game, I'm going to try queen takes d4. So this line was once popular. Even some strong grandmasters played it from time to time. But then black found some convincing ways to get very distant plays. So the popularity decreased. All right. So here I think sort of Morozzi setup, Morozzi-like setup should be a good idea. And c5 already weakening a d5 square. Well. I'm not so sure in this at all. Oh, Dutch Defender says an interesting thing. That's because chess players are united by their weirdness. Oh, that's true. We're hell crazy. All of us, I do believe. Okay, so protecting e4. Then most likely putting the bishop on b2, I guess. At some point it may be interesting for me to play e5. Maybe I should have played that a bit earlier, even. Just to break this nice central setup of black. Still, I'm not sure I'm quite ready for it. So for now, I'm considering some prophylactic moves. Maybe centralizing all the pieces and then playing e5 at the right moment. If black plays e5 himself, then I'll occupy d5 square. And that dark square bishop will be much worse in that case. Black can also get ready for e5, for example. Moving the knight to d7 can be a valid option. At least stopping me from immediate e5 or something. Because I have a feeling if I do play this e5, then c5 may become vulnerable. So let's say, what about... Okay, e4 is hanging. Let's forget about it. So let's just centralize the pieces again. Continue with the centralization at least. And e5, finally. So here is a nice option for me just to put the knight on d5. Then knight takes d5, e5, and then f5. That's not so good. On the other hand, now I have time and more flexibility than before. So maybe it's a good idea for me just to consider this maneuver. Knight to d2, queen somewhere, knight to f1, knight to e3, and then we will see. Maybe we will occupy that square and even replace it with a minor piece, not with a pawn. Especially after bishop to c8. Oh, well, not especially, because bishop is gonna occupy a square on e6, I think. Will be still not so simple for me to play there, but okay, let's see. The question: how far are you from being a grandmaster? Your game looks pretty good for it. Well, thank you for that, but I'm very far, believe me. I have only one GM norm out of 3. My rating is like 80 points lower than a grandmaster rating. So, very far. Well, I'm not that bad, of course, as a chess player, but it's not enough to become a grandmaster. To be just not that bad, you know. So let's force that knight to g7. After that, we can do the following thing. Takes, Knight d5 with the tempo, and then we put the knight on f6. Look at that. It's gonna be huge. I wanted even to try queen f6 if that square is not protected. But now I think it's better for us to put the knight there. On the other hand, I don't see a clear follow-up. Maybe it's still better for me to try queen f6 than queen f6, knight f6, king h8, and something like f4. It looks tremendous. At least let's try. I'm not sure it's good, but after knight e8, this looks just winning. I can take the rook. I can also take the queen, I guess. After knight e7, it's forced to take on e7. Otherwise, it's just a checkmate. Just a terrible blunder. Instead of knight e8, h5 deserves serious attention, I think. So Dutch Defender says, you're still young, Andrey, so more than enough time. Well, okay, I'm turning 30 in September. Many people just finish chess career at that age. But anyway, thank you for that as well. So, actually, what I was hoping to get here is this. So takes. King is forced to h8, and now f4. I think this is very promising. Although I'm not sure what's going on after simple capture. Yeah, diagonal is open. But what is next? What's my follow-up? Maybe I should just go on and open up a position with the e5, but I'm not sure that it's leading me anywhere. Another interesting plan could be something like h4, h5. So basically, I want to open the G file for my rook. Yeah, so maybe this is going to be very promising. Pay attention to this knight on f6. So it's controlling a lot of important squares. Black has some problems with finding good squares for rooks because of that knight. King is completely limited. Knight cannot move anywhere because of my bishop on b2. Yeah, I think if I manage to open the position there, it's going to be just winning. But black should probably try h6 here to keep position closed, right? So if I play h5, then g5. Okay, I can play this slowly, like king there, then probably king f3, king takes f4. Yeah, gradually should be winning with such a amazing knight on f6, and half of black's army completely frozen here, just stalemated. Yeah, I guess white should be winning. But after queen f6, there was a nice option of playing h5, so not exchanging queens here. I mean, I was not sure if I am in time after f4. So f4 is what I wanted to play, but then h takes g4 comes. And, well, not sure in this position. Oh, after h takes g4, there's probably knight e7 followed by queen h4. But again, it's not that clear, because after king to h8 or something, queen h4, there's knight h5. And g4 is protected. Pay attention. So I cannot take on g4 because queen takes g4. Exchanging queens. But here I can try this f takes e5, I believe. Wow, what a nice position. I mean, I have a threat of e takes d6, which should be very dangerous. And if d takes e5, then rook takes d8, rook takes d8, and knight takes g6 check, with the idea of capturing the rook next move. Still not entirely clear, but starts looking pretty bad for black. I don't know, takes there, queen d8, king h7. Yeah, this g takes h3 is my only concern. So probably I should play something like h4 here. Closing the position. Yeah, but that would be very interesting. I mean, if black would have played something like h5 there. Because knight e8 is definitely losing, and queen takes f6, as we can see, is also quite bad after f4. Okay, anyways. What was wrong? In general, I think e5 was a bad decision. So it was better just to give me a chance to play e5, or maybe just to step back with the knight in advance. Okay, accept Friedel. And white pieces. I'm playing white pieces exclusively this time. That is why I'm not so tired, probably. Because I'm never tired of playing with white. Especially if we have so many Sicilians. So we're playing some interesting lines. Good. Let's do that. Knight to d7. Alright, let's play g4. Aggressive chess. And just f3. It's a strange mix, right? Of bishop e2 and f3, so who needs the bishop on e2 when you play f3? You may ask. But, alright, I don't care. g6. c6 is so weak, but I cannot use it immediately because there's just queen c7. There is nothing there. Okay, let's put the bishop on e3 first. Oh. Inviting me to play g5. Now it's looking very strange. If I have the knight on d5, knight c6 will be just trapping the queen. Oh my god. There is also b4 idea, because I'm not sure the knight has a good square to go away. But let's search for something direct, like knight c6, where the queen goes to c7 or b6. Then knight e5, then the queen takes c6. No, it doesn't work right now. After knight e5, black has time to play bishop b7, in which case we may consider b4, but then knight has this square on a4, so not sure again. b4 should be not so bad. Oh, I know what to do. So to play knight d5 and then b4, and if knight e6, then take c6, f e6, and knight f4 attacking both e6 and g6. All right, let's put the knight on d5. Anyway, even if we don't win anything, it shouldn't be that bad move. Knight goes to e5. Queen has only one square there on d7. But that should be just good enough. Okay, anyways, want to play f4. Knight g4. That is what I missed, actually. So I thought knight to c4 will be played. And that's my mistake. And here comes punishment. Okay, so what about playing knight to c6? Too many hanging pieces. I cannot really evaluate this position correctly. The queen is hanging, so queen d7 is the only move. If knight takes e3, alright, knight takes e3 is possible here. Again, another blunder. I thought I could play queen to d4 here, but then knight c2. Okay, I should take back now. Queen is still hanging. Now queen d4 most likely doesn't give me what I want. Rook just goes to g8. Oh god. Yeah, I completely misplayed that. I completely misplayed this position. Okay, let's just go away. Yeah. Wrong idea. Wrong idea. Let's go back to d5. Just going with this knights back and forth cannot be correct strategy. But after queen d7, I can play knight b6. Kind of blunder. Queen h3 was very interesting, just to have queen h4 check. Maybe it was not even a blunder. It could have been just a exchange sacrifice. Let's castle. I'm scared. A bit. So let's just run away. Playing like a pussy. But I think it's justified. We have extra exchange. We shouldn't be that aggressive anymore. We can just convert the material advantage. Right? Right. Why not? The only thing here, I have to play faster, like much faster than at the moment. That's a blunder. Yeah, too many blunders in this game, indicating that I'm actually tired. What to do now? Just f6. Open in position a bit, but I think it's fine when you have rooks. There's a big risk of losing this on time because I have only 50 seconds in pretty complicated position. On the other hand, I have a clearer plan. So first king h1. Forcing the exchange on d4. Now there is a threat of bishop h5, knight on f5 is not protected. Let's do it. So now it's easier for white. Okay, queen f6, probably. A nice inclusion. Preventing black from playing f5 and attacking the rook at the same time. Intended to play this strong move for g7. Queen goes to b8. I think this should nearly paralyze black in this position. I don't see active counterplay for black anymore. All right. And now what should we do? We should attack the king. We're very close. Rook f1 to f7 looks very nice. But black prevented that. It's kind of nasty. Okay. Spent a lot of time on that shit. Wow, I don't see how it... Oh my god. Oh my goodness. What is this? Am I really going to lose that? No, I think. Here comes my helper. Yeah. That's a checkmate, my friend. Okay, so that was a miracle. I mean, at the end I started playing like a patzer, and here instead of queen g3 there was a possibility just to put the knight on g3, which probably just winning position for black, because after I'm losing this, it's just goodbye, it's just over. Because I no longer have this sacrifice on f7, nothing literally, and black has a couple of extra pawns. So maybe not even the pawns, yeah. That's exactly about pawns here for now. Doesn't matter. I mean, decisive advantage. So, was there really no combination here? Yeah, it was, of course. Rook f1 takes f7. My goodness, I missed that check on e6. I mean, so rook takes there, rook e8 now. What a nice sacrifice, by the way. Pretty neat. Rook f8, rook takes, queen takes, bishop e6. Game over. Wow. Why didn't I find it? My goodness. So I thought, okay, if g6 is protected, there is no sacrifice, but there is completely different idea. I mean, yeah, just to use e6 square now. Look at this. Just like from Tactics Trainer, right? Crap. Yeah, but the whole game was full of surprises. I mean, I didn't find anything in the opening, although Black's play was pretty dubious, I think. Especially this position. So I don't understand why didn't I play b4 here. Knight goes to e6. Knight takes e6, f takes e6, and look at this pawns. Okay, my knight on c3 is not so good for now, but his pawns are bad, especially g6. It's gonna be a advantage, I think. So should be an advantage for white. This or that way, but maybe this position is not so clear as I want it to be. Who knows? But before was definitely better than knight e5, I guess, because after knight e5, knight to e5, black is sort of controlling most important squares, and there is a nice coordination of pieces, especially after f4, knight g4. I completely lost my mind. So I thought here I would have some like queen d4, attacking the queen, the rook on h8, but then knight c2 just wins the game. So I have to take, and now black is just better, no questions. So here maybe not bishop b7, but something like e6, simply controlling d5, and then bishop b7 could have been very interesting option. And I don't know what to do with that pawn on e4. It's very, very weak. But even after bishop b7, I mean, knight e5 and queen d7, okay, let's accept it was a blunder. But even here, after queen to h3, I think white's position is far from being good. Because you have a sort of, look, queen h4, it's going to be very bad for white. So let's say if I take queen h4 check, where to go? King d2 then, just knight e4, queen f4, it's terrible. If I go king f1, still knight takes e4. Like creating sort of a checkmate on f2. Queen e1, just check. Maybe here, maybe on f4. f4 is probably also a good square to check me. But okay, queen h3 is just good enough. Because after this move, you have this check. Or get into my pieces. Move by move, like this. By the way, the checkmating pattern very close to what I had against Cobra here. Amazing. Just queen h3, look at this. I think it's really time to resign or something. So, Friedel, you were very close in this game. Only a miracle saved me, somehow. Alright, next one. And black pieces. Okay, fun is over, I think. So, Mr. Nimtsovich, make your move. Please. We are waiting. No response. Okay. Aborting. Next one is Olaf. Here we go. Fun is over and Kilic has not played All right, Olaf, but you are welcome. Let's go. Let's go and play here. What about this setup? Is it good or bad for black? Have no idea. But the pawn structure is interesting. So we have what? We have c4 as an object of attack. So let's go and attack it. On the other hand, our b5 square is weak, which can be a problem. D takes c5. It's a bit surprising. I thought white would keep this pressure in the center. Maybe even this is okay. So I'll definitely take with the bishop to treat c4 as an isolated pawn. Oh, exchanging queens in such a position. It's definitely something wrong. Maybe I'm overestimating my chances here, but it should be very promising position for black. Yeah, I'm probably just overestimating my chances, but it's definitely not worse for black whatsoever because we have good development, we have better pawn structure. Should be just fine, I think. So let's start with this move, rook to c8. Covering c7 because white was going to play knight b5, I think, against knight to a5. Creating a threat of knight to c7. So c7 is no longer a problem. We can forget about it. Now rook will be very useful on the c file to attack c4. So now I think we should try this move. Knight to a5, just a straightforward attack against c4. Now, say bishop back to e7 to attack c4 again. So now the rook is here participating in this stuff. So now you probably understand rook c8 was not only to protect c7, it's also an active move. But the question is what to do now. It's very tempting just to get rid of that knight somehow with a6. But if I move my bishop to b7, there is a possibility to play knight d6 because c4 is no longer hanging. It's a good question if it is good for white to exchange that knight, because then I can come back to a6, attacking that pawn. Huh? Maybe bishop b7. The knight is coming to e5, that's the idea. Do I have something more interesting like knight to b3? Rook will go to b1, then knight to c5, kind of relocating my knight, then to a4 maybe. Yeah, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. Just to bring my knight to a4. To disturb that bishop. Oh, after this move, bishop b5, just cb5. Rook c3, bishop takes a3, extra pawn, but my pieces are misplaced. So probably just knight to c5 still, with the idea of knight a4. I mean, rook c3 only helps with that idea. To play knight a4. Bishop b5 was a good move against rook c2, let's say, because pawn is definitely pinned. What's going on here? Can't I just play knight to a4? Well, I can. Let's try that. I mean, how this is bad for black? Tell me. Cannot be bad. So now I can take on b5, take on a3 if I want, but after bishop b5, cb5. Annoying a bit. Yeah, probably I'm just misplaying this. Bishop f3 was also kind of annoying threat. Don't know. Something went wrong here. Yeah, it feels like I'm being outplayed. So rook c7 should be played. 100% to cover the 7th rank. It's getting very weak. This knight on e5 is very strong indeed. So let's play g5. To kind of fight the idea of f4 and fighting the rook d8 to start with. Rook d8 was a threat. Just to checkmate me, or to try to checkmate me. So the king is safe now, more or less. 7th rank is still very weak, so we should never ever forget about it. By the way, f4 is not quite prevented. At least I will have some targets after that. Yeah, white made a huge progress here with my help. Can we play rook c5 now? f4 takes, rook a5. Can we afford that to start with? It's going to be very risky, but I have to try that. Because I don't see anything else here as a plan. What is this? Come on, there is no rook d7. What a blunder, what a gift. Yeah, I was preparing myself for a very complicated ending, like who's faster and something, but knight f7. Come on, knight controls d7. That was a hallucination, I believe. So f4 takes, that was interesting. Then rook a5 was planned. But this is far from being clear. I was a bit afraid of, say, rook b8 move. I was not sure where to go with the bishop. I thought I would go somewhere to e4. Oh, maybe that is a good idea. I didn't notice that after bishop e4 I have a connection to g6. So I can protect f7 whenever it is hanging. So I was mainly afraid of this knight on e5. So I thought after rook c8, rook takes a3, it will be extremely unclear after rook c7. But now I can see that, if anything, I have this bishop g6. Which was, yeah, quite okay. So extra pawn, again, better pawn structure, I think, better coordination of the pieces, probably. And the threat of knight e4 followed by rook a1. I guess king f1 was too slow, so f4 immediately was very interesting. King f1 does nothing here. f4, that was a move. And after taking, knight is already protected. So after rook c5, you can start this attack against my bishop. Maybe it's still not anything because I control somehow all important squares, c7, b7, d7, and e8. So the rook cannot get to the 7th rank here. Well, maybe I'm still fine here. Okay. Dutch defender is going away. Thank you for being here, and yeah, also wish you all the best. Okay, let's continue. We still have some time. Mixal is the next. By the way, I'm happy you... So what's going on here? Probably there was just a quick disruption or something. So let's check. No. It says no frames dropped, which means I was sort of online. That is strange. Okay. Never mind. Bishop to c4, bishop to c5. So, what I was talking about, I've noticed that you were not premium for some time. I'm not sure what was that. Probably you were deciding to prolong the premiumship, which means premium membership. I'm not sure if that word exists. But in any case, I'm happy you came back. Let's go away. Probably d4 was already a threat. Castles. Simplifying the things. Wow. Interesting. So it's a nice strategy. So maybe my opponent is going to make a draw here. Well, I'm still going to fight. Even in this boring position, we're going to fight. What should it be? Let's play b5. We're better developed, so it's a good idea to force the crisis on the board. Let's go. Oh, white is doing everything good. So c5 is weakened now. Maybe I was too optimistic about this plan. Yeah, white's position is good here, I should admit. Let's make a terrible move. Just capturing the knight with the bishop. I would have killed myself for such a move, for sure. But I cannot do that right now because I'm on duty. The broadcast will be interrupted. There are no resources. Almost no resources on the board. Oh, here comes a blunder. Come on. We're still having some. And we're winning the pawn now. Okay, this should be convertible advantage. Rook d1 was not forced, obviously. And instead of taking on b3 with the pawn, I believe it was an interesting idea just to take with what? With the bishop. Clearly better. Okay, now let's just simplify the position a bit. Temporarily moving the knight to a passive one, but centralizing the king, and it's gonna be winning. Let's just play b4. It's no longer dangerous to weaken c4, I guess, since there is no knight on the board in white's camp. I mean, it's always just a terrible thing when the knight can occupy c4, but bishop on c4 is not that dangerous. And after c4 with the pawn, I have very nice outpost on either d4 or c5. Both look just terrific. Let's put the knight on c5, I think. Controlling b3. Attacking b3, maybe. Oh. Never mind. Now we're just simplifying, and I think this ending should be winning, right? Because it is a king and pawn ending, and we have a material advantage. Pretty clear one. This is gonna be just an easy win. Should be, at least. Of course, it will be just a shame if I don't win it for some reason. but I think I should manage. Automatic play here. This or that, doesn't matter. Okay, now we are going to grab one more pawn. Next move, because white is already in Zugzwang. Yeah, time to resign. It was very level game, I think. Before white played rook to d1. Well, before white played a takes b3. It's not a decisive mistake, of course, but it's definitely something that white could and should have avoided. Just bishop takes b3. Why not? I mean, I don't believe this is dangerous. I wanted to play a4, obviously. Then bishop simply goes back. And if I say play this, you can play that. Yeah, I have some play potentially based on b4. Maybe b4 even immediately. But then you can take on b4. Or maybe it's not so good. Don't know. Let's see. I'm fighting for dark squares here, as we may notice. cb4, knight takes b4 with the tempo. Also not a big problem for white. Here's rook to c3. Accurate move, protecting the bishop and attacking my c7. As we may notice, I also have some problems because of that plan. Alright? So, come on. Yeah, I think taking with the bishop was better than taking with the pawn. But then, okay, after a b3, knight d7, it's obviously not a lost position for white. So it became lost after rook to d1. That was a blunder and the main reason why I actually won the game. Obviously, sort of centralization with king f1 was good enough to make this position completely safe for white. Okay, I don't see a clear plan here for black. Okay, anyways, thank you for this game. Don William is the next. Let's play Don William. Black pieces again. Not funny. ED4, knight f6. So main line or no, that line. My opponent is thinking, what's wrong? It's still like a theory. And bishop b4 is the main move, so if white plays this setup with knight on c3, white should know what to do after bishop b4. And a5 is something new to me, because normally bishop d3 is played. e5 can be just wrong in this particular case. Let's see, if we play queen e7, how to protect e5 pawn? There are several methods, obviously. Should we just play knight e4 here? Then queen goes to g4. Well, let's play queen e7 here. Protecting the bishop at least. And attacking e5. Let's see how it works. If white, for example, plays f4, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I can try knight e4 now. It makes sense because we have threat of queen h4 and also threat of taking on c3. Isn't it bad for white? Let's go and check. Yeah, interesting thing here. If I play queen c5, queen takes c4, bishop takes c3, then if bc3 then queen c3 looks great, winning the rook on a1. King e2 looks also good because of bishop a6, but if king goes to d1 after bishop takes c3, I have a terrible position. And it's a typical thing for Scotch when the king goes to d1. So instead of doing that bullshit, I think I have to play d5 here. Just, you know, occupying the center. I have a gorgeous knight on e4. I should not regret. Okay. Looks good. Black setup is pretty active. We are controlling the center, and king went to d1 in this position is just a terrible mistake because I have bishop g4. Come on. Come on. It was a good move, like, only in that line with queen c5, but here I'm just winning on the spot. All right. It was a nice game. Sorry it's finished so early. Instead of doing that, of course, it was interesting to try something like this, forcing me to take on c3, because if I play bishop a5, there's b4, and then knight on e4 is under pressure. So I think I have to take more or less here. Now you have bad pawn structure, but you have pair of bishops, so the position is still full of life, full of play, and you have this dynamic resource. So maybe you're even not worse here, I don't know, in this particular case. Yeah, I guess you had some chances here, but king d1, just bishop g4, typical thing. And then knight f2 fork. Right, so let's play our last game for today. Tilman Trappe, accept. And again, black pieces. Hate it. I always love to play with black pieces in tournament games. But for some reason, during Banter Blitz shows, I prefer playing with white pieces. Because in that case, I can play much more active chess compared to black, and we get much more interesting positions. There's still a room for, you know, playing active chess with black, but for that you have to play gambits, and I'm not a big fan of gambits. So well, I decided to play not so active way here, which gives me some good opportunities to build up a strong center, maybe create some attacking things there on the king side. I wanted to call that options, possibilities, patterns, but I don't quite believe in the power of this idea, so I decided to call it things. But let's see. For now, I'm just happy to have this strong center, well supported by other pawns and pieces. e3. That is too passive, I think. Just too passive. But anyway, who am I to criticize white? Let's just find a way to develop our pieces the right way. First, let's start with the knight. The question from Sadek, till when are you gonna be streaming? So this is actually the last game. If you are asking in a more general sense, then until I turn 40, I think. It's the next 10 years or something. So bishop goes to b2. White is not going to attack me in this game, I have a feeling. So let's just keep on developing pieces. trying to create sort of harmonious setup, centralize everything, and then to see how to exploit this slight advantage in space. Oh, a4 weakens b4 too much. I think it's not the right idea. So it's more interesting to play a3, b4. That sort of setup. a4 is just a great weakening. And I'm not seeing kind of what this move is doing. Knight b5 is also a mystery to me. So let's just ask the knight, what's going on, brother? Just go away from here. Bishop a3? Really? I have just attacked the knight. My goodness, let's take it. So my opponent is probably also tired because it's like 10 p.m. in Germany. And yeah, after a long and exhausting working day, I can't imagine how is that to play chess. Especially if you're not very young, but I don't think. How old is my opponent? So now just extra minor piece, no compensation whatsoever. Let's convert it in a convincing way. Going here and there. Let's play c5. Kind of freezing everything here. What is my most realistic target? I think b3 pawn. So let's put the rook on a3 and then play d4 and capture that pawn. Like this. Thank you, Sadek, for being here as well. Rook to a1, pinning the knight now. Queen goes to c2. Okay, queen to a7. Connecting my queen and my rook. Now together, they should do something. Like invasion to the second rank. Looks the most natural follow-up here. d4. I think it's desperation. Should be desperation. So let's just close everything for white here. No counterplay whatsoever. Queen takes. All right, I'll go away. But I will come back. So queen d6, knight e5, knight e3. Looks nice. Let's try that. Queen goes to d4. Is anything heading here? No, my queen is protected, my bishop is protected, so let's go to e5. And then to d3, I guess. No, to f3, in fact. That's another good spot. Yep. Okay, so what went wrong? First of all, too passive. Instead of playing d3 after cd5, white should play d4. That's the right move. To force black to play something like that, and then attacking d5, because now it is fixed and it is a backward pawn. So just play something like knight to c3, sometimes queen b3, sometimes just if I play knight f6, you play bishop g5 to exchange that knight as a defender, one of the main defenders of that pawn. Then knight through h3 can go to f4. This is sort of plan here for white. d3 is too passive. Now I'm just developing my pieces the right way, but even here You could have tried to play in a bit more active way, like knight to c3, probably still knight f3 followed by, say, d4, but as you may notice here, I'm controlling everything. So now if you play d4, I'm just playing e4. I have more space here and more time to develop my pieces in a very nice way. So I think somewhere here, I'm already feeling very good. And a4 is the start of a completely wrong plan. So instead of doing that, it was much better to play a3. And if I play something like a5, then I weaken b5, and you may use it probably at some point. Another possible plan is just to play rook to c1, let's say rook to c2 then queen to a1, just like in Reti, and then to try to put another rook to c1, knight a4, knight c5. So trying to fight for some squares here for your pieces. So a4 was probably wrong, just weakening b3 and doing not really much. And after knight b5, obviously losing the piece, after which everything was clear. Alright guys, that was the last game as I promised. I hope you learned something new. I hope you were not bored and my explanations were more or less clear to understand. Wish you all a great coming weekend. Next week, everything should happen again according to our normal schedule. So training Tuesday and Banter Blitz on Thursday. Yeah. So I think I didn't miss anything important. With that said, take care. Bye-bye.